So get this, for this deep dive, you've given us excerpts from Final Tibetan Girl.
Oh, wow.
It's a thriller, and it drops us right into Tibet under Chinese control.
Right.
Have you ever traveled to Tibet?
I haven't personally, no, but I've read a lot about it. It's such a fascinating and complex place.
Right. I mean, what's your take on the whole political situation over there?
Well, it's definitely a sensitive topic. I mean, it's no secret that China's got a tight grip on Tibet. But
Yeah.
this story, it goes beyond the politics. Like, regardless of your background, this story, it just grabs you with this mix of advanced tech and human drama.
Yeah.
We've got Jack Morgan, an American inventor, wrestling with some serious guilt over his creation. And it's got a pretty ominous name.
Yeah.
Satan's Breath.
Satan's Breath.
Yeah.
So we've got this American inventor, and then on the other side of the world,
Yeah.
we have Karma, a young Tibetan girl who's caught in this,
Oh, Karma's story is just heartbreaking. I mean, talk about being caught in a web of political intrigue. The novel, it doesn't shy away from showing us the brutal realities of life under an authoritarian regime. Like, we see Karma's world literally shattered when they execute a respected monk right in front of her.
Right in front of her.
And then her family's torn apart. I mean, it's just brutal.
It's gut-wrenching. I mean, you feel for her so much. She's imprisoned, facing unimaginable trauma.
And she's so young, you know?
So young.
But even with all that, she still shows incredible resilience.
Absolutely.
It makes you think, how would you react in that kind of situation?
Right.
Especially knowing this isn't just historical fiction. This reflects what's happening to real people today.
It does. Okay, so let's dig into this Satan's Breath tech a little bit.
Yeah.
So it's the weaponized version of something Jack invented called angel ears.
Right?
Break it down for us.
Yeah.
Okay, imagine you're explaining it to somebody who barely passed high school science.
Okay, think of angel ears this way. It was designed to help people, maybe even heal them. But like any powerful tool, things get twisted. So imagine a weapon that doesn't just cause physical harm, but it can control people's minds. Right. Like some super powerful remote control for the human nervous system.
Oh, that's terrifying.
It is terrifying. That's Satan's breath, right? It can disrupt power grids, mess with your body, even shut down entire populations. It's scary stuff.
It is scary stuff. No wonder Jack is carrying around so much guilt.
Yeah, you know.
I mean, we learned that he even lost his own wife and daughter in an accident that was linked to his earlier work.
Exactly. That's a lot to bear.
It's a heavy burden.
It is. And it's that personal tragedy, right, that fuels his determination to dismantle Satan's breath. It's like he's on a mission to atone for his past, you know?
Right.
And to prevent others from suffering the same fate.
Okay, so it's not like he was just, sitting around living a peaceful, guilt-ridden life when this whole save the world thing kicks off.
No, not at all. Like, he's struggling to find work.
Right.
He's haunted by memories. Yeah.
And on top of all that, he's clashing with his old colleague, Harry Brady.
Oh, Harry Brady.
Brady is like the classic example of ambition with zero ethics.
Oh, interesting.
He's the guy who would push technology to the limit no matter the cost.
Yeah, the classic ends justify the means type of guy.
Exactly.
But I don't get it. Why is Brady blackmailing Jack to help him? Wouldn't exposing Jack's, off-the-books work hurt Brady too? What's Brady's endgame?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
Brady's playing a dangerous game. Like, he's using the IRS as leverage to force Jack back into the world of espionage. And he knows Jack is terrified of further tarnishing his reputation, especially after the accident.
So he's dangling this IRS threat over Jack's head, and he sends him on this mission to retrieve this key component of Satan's breath.
Right.
And this mission takes him straight to, you guessed it,
Tibet. It's like fate has thrown Jack and Karma together.
Even though they don't even know it yet, we've got these parallel stories unfolding. Karma's imprisoned in this bleak, oppressive environment while Jack is getting pulled back into the world he swore he'd leave behind.
It's like two sides of the same coin, in a way.
Exactly.
So all of this is orchestrated by Harry Brady.
Seems that way.
Who's playing everyone like chess pieces. Who else is involved in this twisted game, though?
Well, there's Dr. Linhauer, Jack's former mentor. But we find out later he betrayed Jack and he stole his research.
Oh, wow. A classic betrayal. So it's not just Brady pulling the strings here.
Definitely not. And then there are these shadowy figures, the Russian Spetsnaz.
Okay.
They're after Satan's breath as well, but for their own reasons.
Yeah.
It's like a tangled web of motives and alliances. Nobody seems to be who they appear.
Okay, so it's not just a U.S.-China standoff. We've got the Russians adding fuel to the fire.
Exactly.
Makes you wonder, what's in it for them? Are they just looking for a new weapon, or is there a deeper geopolitical play here?
That's something to keep in mind as we go.
Definitely. Let's circle back to Tibet for a moment. Remember Major Lei Cheng?
How could we forget?
She's the high-ranking officer who's overseeing that prison where Karma's being held.
Right.
And she plays, a huge role in what happens next.
She does.
Cheng's a tough cookie.
Yeah.
She's ambitious.
Oh, yeah.
She's ruthless. Dedicated to climbing the ranks within the Chinese system. Not exactly someone you want to cross paths with.
No, definitely not.
But I sense she's also more complex than she initially appears. As we delve deeper, we see her grapple with her conscience, questioning the brutal actions she's ordered to carry out.
It's true.
Remember when she uses karma to manipulate her father, Monk Jampa?
Right.
You see that cold and calculating side.
Yeah.
But then she also seems troubled by, the death of her predecessor, Colonel Yi Tao, and that rampant corruption within the prison system.
It's like she's caught between a rock and a hard place. She's ambitious. She wants to rise within the system.
Yeah.
But she also sees the injustice, the cruelty around her.
It's an internal struggle.
It is, and it becomes this major driving force as the story unfolds.
It does. Speaking of driving forces, while all this is going down in Tibet,
Yeah.
Jack is back in the U.S. He's working on a new invention.
Right. Trying to put his life back together, I guess.
Right, exactly. But surprise, surprise, his past comes back to haunt him.
Always does.
That's where Preeti's blackmail comes in.
Right. That
He throws Jack back into that world he was trying to escape.
Mm-hmm.
He's forced to confront his guilt and make some really, really tough choices.
And not just tough choices.
Yeah.
Dangerous ones. Brady sets him up with a team.
Right.
Mike Harding, a pilot forced into this whole mess.
Yeah.
X, who sounds like a straight-up mercenary.
Oh, yeah.
And Tashi, a former friend of Jack's who's now working as a spy.
Right, Tashi. I remember him. So we've got this team. What a mix. What's the dynamic like?
It's fascinating. It's like this powder keg of conflicting motivations. You've got Jack. He wants to dismantle Satan's breath. Brady is just chasing profit and power, and then everyone else, they're just trying to survive this crazy situation.
It's a recipe for disaster.
It is.
Especially when you consider the stakes. We learned from Jack that Satan's breath isn't just some local threat.
Right.
It's got the potential to, reshape the entire world.
Oh, yeah. We're talking mass panic, economic collapse, maybe even wars.
Yeah.
It's that serious.
So it's not just about saving one girl. It's not about stopping one bad guy.
No.
This is about preventing global catastrophe.
Exactly. That's a lot of pressure for anyone to handle.
Now, back in Janarong, things are coming to a head. Major Cheng is preparing for Karma's execution, and it's going to be a public spectacle.
I remember that part. The author really captures the fear, the tension in that scene. You can tell that Cheng is being used as a pawn by higher-ups, but she's also increasingly uneasy about the whole thing.
Oh, interesting. And, I think what adds another layer to all this is the arrival of Lydia Hansen, an American reporter who stumbles right into the middle of all of this unfolding drama.
Hansen's presence is so interesting.
It is.
Because it shows how quickly things can spiral out of control. Like, she's drawn to this story. She senses the injustice.
Right.
But she also becomes a pawn in this game, manipulated by forces she doesn't fully understand.
Right. Talk about being in the right place at the right time, even if it's terrifying.
Exactly.
So we've got Jack ready to risk everything to save Karma. Cheng's wrestling with her conscience. And this American reporter's about to expose the whole thing to the world.
It's a powder keg, for sure.
It is. Talk about a powder keg.
Yeah, it is. It really makes you wonder what's going to happen next. It's a real cliffhanger. What stands out to you so far?
There's just so much going on.
There is.
I'm really curious to see how Jack's going to pull this off. What's his plan? And then Cheng, will she follow orders? Or will she actually help them?
Yeah, she's such a wild card.
She is.
And then, what about Lydia Hansen? What role will she play in all this? It's like all these different threads are weaving together, and it's so captivating. Can't wait to see what happens next.
I know. We've got a lot to unpack, so let's take a quick break, and then we'll dive into part 2 of Final Tibetan Girl.
It's like watching a slow-motion train wreck.
It is.
All these different characters and motivations are just hurtling towards each other.
Yeah.
You've got Jack with his makeshift plan.
Right.
Cheng's caught in the middle.
Yeah.
And poor Karma.
Yeah.
Terrified, but so incredibly brave.
And we can't forget about Lydia Hansen.
Oh, right.
She's just stumbled onto this story that could, make or break her career,
Yeah.
and might just expose this global conspiracy in the process.
Talk about being in the right place at the right time.
I know.
Even
Yeah.
if it's terrifying.
Yeah, but Hansen's like a reminder that the media, even with its flaws, it can play this crucial role
It can.
in holding power accountable.
Absolutely. But it's a double-edged sword, right?
Yeah, it is.
She can be manipulated just as easily as she can expose the truth.
Absolutely. Speaking of manipulation, that execution scene
I know.
is one of the most nail-biting moments I've ever encountered in a book.
It is.
Jack's setting off explosives, creating chaos, and then we get this chilling glimpse into the mind of Wei, the executioner, who just seems to relish his role.
The description of Wei is truly disturbing.
It is.
It makes you question the nature of evil. Like, is it something we're born with?
Yeah.
Or is it a product of the systems that we create? And what does it say about a regime that would empower someone like him?
I know.
Yeah.
Thankfully, Jack manages to disrupt the execution and escape with karma.
Right.
And he's aided by this network of monks who are risking their lives to defy the Chinese regime.
Those monks are incredibly brave.
They are.
I mean, imagine putting your life on the line like that.
It's a heart-stopping escape.
Yeah.
You can't help but admire Jack's resourcefulness. He's using every trick in the book. Explosives, diversions, even his knowledge of Tibetan Buddhism.
It's impressive.
It is.
Especially under that much pressure.
He's really thinking on his feet. But so while they're fighting for survival in Tibet,
right,
the fallout from their actions is already being felt on the other side of the world.
Yeah.
So we're taken to the White House, where the president and his advisors are scrambling to contain the situation.
It's a smart shift in perspective. Suddenly we're thrust into this world of high-stakes politics, where the fate of nations hinges on a single decision.
I know, right?
The tension is palpable. You can practically feel the weight of responsibility on their shoulders.
You really can. And it's not just about international relations.
No, it's not.
We also see the president grappling with these internal conflicts within his own administration.
Right.
Some want to silence Jack permanently.
Wow, really?
And then others, like Agent Franklin, seem to believe he's onto something big.
Franklin, she's such a fascinating character.
She is.
She starts out investigating Jack, but as she learns more about Satan's breath, her priorities seem to shift.
She's becoming more than just a government agent.
Yeah, definitely.
She's like starting to represent a moral compass in this whole mess.
I see that.
She's questioning the blind pursuit of national security when it comes at the expense of truth and justice.
It makes you wonder, what would you do if you were in her shoes?
Right.
Would you follow orders or risk your career to expose this conspiracy that goes all the way to the top?
I don't know. Meanwhile, back in Tibet, Jack and Karma's escape, well, it's turning into this full-blown manhunt.
I can imagine.
They're not just dealing with the Chinese authorities anymore either.
Oh, no.
A team of Russian Spetsnaz has joined the chase, and they're after Satan's breath for their own purposes.
What a twist. It adds this whole other layer of complexity, doesn't it?
It does.
Suddenly, it's not just about Jack and Karma's survival.
Right.
It's about preventing this weapon of mass destruction from falling into the wrong hands.
And remember, Lydia Hansen.
Oh, yeah.
The reporter. So her coverage of the escape, which is fueled by information leaked by Major Chang, turns Jack and Karma into, international symbols of resistance.
I can see that.
The world is watching, and the stakes have never been higher.
The novel really highlights the power of information in today's world. Like one reporter armed with the truth, they can challenge even the most powerful governments.
It's true.
It's a reminder that even in the face of oppression, a single voice can spark a global movement.
It can. But for Jack and Karma, it's not about global movements.
Right.
It's about putting one foot in front of the other and surviving.
Absolutely. Survival mode.
They find temporary shelter in this remote temple.
Yeah.
Relying on Jack's friend Tashi for help.
Oh, Tashi.
So this part of the story, this escape through the Himalayas, it's
incredible. It's a testament to the human spirit's resilience.
It is.
They're facing extreme altitude, harsh weather, constant pursuit.
Constant pursuit.
And yet they find ways to adapt and just keep going.
And it's not just about physical endurance.
Right.
Jack's battling guilt,
Yeah.
grief
Yeah.
over his family,
Yeah.
and this growing disillusionment with his own government.
It's a lot.
He's pushed to his limits, but he never gives up on karma.
Exactly. That's what makes him such a compelling character. He's not some superhero, right?
No, he's not.
He's just a flawed, broken man trying to do the right thing.
Right, and he's not even sure what that is anymore.
Yeah, but that's what makes him so relatable.
Absolutely.
I mean, who hasn't felt that way at some point?
Right. So their escape takes this unexpected turn when they encounter a group of Australian tourists.
Australian tourists?
Yeah,
What?
that's random, I know, right?
That's wild.
But one of them, a movie producer named Alex Bareford, he recognizes Jack from the news and decides to help them.
What a guy.
I know, it's this moment of unexpected human connection that provides some much-needed relief in the midst of all this chaos.
Definitely.
Bareford's a bit of a wild card.
Okay.
But his willingness to risk everything to help strangers,
Right.
it's a reminder that good people exist even in the darkest of times.
Absolutely. I agree.
So Bareford gives them a boat and supplies,
Wow. Nice.
which allows them to continue their escape down the Truchuli River.
That sounds dangerous.
It is. It's no pleasure cruise. They're facing raging rapids,
Oh my gosh.
a constant threat of discovery,
Right.
and Jack's health is deteriorating by the day.
This river journey is a masterclass in suspense.
Yeah.
The author vividly describes, the sheer power of nature. The
Yeah.
roaring water, the treacherous currents, that feeling of being completely at the mercy of the elements.
Yeah, it's like the river itself is a character,
It is.
testing Jack and Karma's resilience every step of the way.
I love that. So what happens next?
Well, just when you think things can't get any worse,
Right.
they find themselves trapped near this bridge that's heavily guarded by Chinese soldiers.
Oh, no.
Jack Ever, the improviser,
Yeah.
he uses his remaining explosives to create this diversion.
That's a risky move.
It is. It's a desperate gamble.
It is.
But it shows his unwavering commitment to Karma's safety.
Right.
He's willing to risk everything, even his own life,
Yeah.
to give her a chance at freedom.
That's true heroism.
And you know who else plays a crucial role in their escape? Major Cheng.
Oh, Cheng.
She's torn between her duty to capture Jack
Yeah.
and this growing sense of empathy for Karma.
Right.
It's like she's witnessing the cracks in the system she's always served.
Yeah.
And she's starting to question everything.
Her decision to let them go is a huge turning point.
It is.
Not just for her character, but for the entire narrative.
There really is.
It's this powerful act of defiance, It suggests that even those who seem deeply entrenched in a corrupt system,
Right.
they can find the courage to choose compassion over blind obedience.
I agree.
Yeah.
So Cheng helps him cross the border into Nepal,
Wow.
knowing full well that she's risking her own future.
That's brave.
It's a powerful moment.
It is.
She's choosing humanity over her career, over her loyalty to the party.
Wow. And what about the repercussions?
Well, the news of their escape,
Right.
which is fueled by Lydia Hanson's reports, and that footage captured by Bareford's crew,
Oh, yeah.
it puts immense pressure on both the U.S. and Chinese governments.
I can imagine.
The world is watching,
Yeah.
demanding answers.
Yeah.
And the cover-up is starting to unravel.
It's about time.
It is. So meanwhile, Jack and Karma,
Yeah.
they're battered but alive,
Right.
seeking refuge in Nepal.
What?
But their ordeal,
Yeah.
it's far from over.
I think
They're international fugitives now,
Yeah.
hunted by the Chinese, pursued by the Russians,
Whoa.
and they're facing this uncertain future.
What a cliffhanger. We're left wondering, will they find true safety? Will the truth about Satan's breath be revealed? What will happen to Major Cheng?
I know.
She defied the most powerful forces in her country.
She did.
What will become of her? I can't wait to find out.
They've escaped Tibet. They made it into Nepal.
Right.
But you get the sense that Jack and Karma are still holding their breath.
Oh, absolutely. They're physically and emotionally drained.
Yeah.
Jack especially. I mean, the guy is running on fumes at this point.
Yeah.
He's injured,
Right.
grieving for Tashi,
Yeah.
and he's still carrying that weight of his past mistakes,
But even in his weakened state, he's still got that protector instinct.
Oh, yeah.
Especially towards Karma. Makes you wonder if he sees a bit of his own daughter in her, like a chance to make things right somehow.
That's a good point. I mean, there's definitely a sense of atonement driving his actions.
Yeah.
And this part of the story, their journey through Nepal, it really emphasizes the human cost of this whole ordeal.
They find shelter with a hermit named Dawa,
Okay.
who shows them kindness, despite their circumstances.
Right.
It's like a small flicker of hope amidst all the darkness.
That encounter with Dawa, it's a good reminder that even in the most remote corners of the world, you can find compassion and generosity.
Right?
He doesn't judge Jack or Karma. He just offers them what he can:
Right.
shelter, food, a moment of peace.
And it's during their stay with Dawa that Karma reveals something crucial.
Okay, what's that?
The location of her grandmother's village.
Oh, wow.
Rumkun.
Rumikun, okay.
And this becomes their new destination.
Yeah.
A symbol of belonging.
Right.
And perhaps a chance for Karma to reconnect with her roots.
I see. So do they make it?
They do. They arrive at Rumikun, but it's bittersweet.
Oh, how so?
On one hand, Karma is reunited with her family, and she experiences this sense of normalcy that she hasn't felt in months. But the trauma of what she's endured is evident.
Right.
We see the emotional scars, the fear that still lingers in her eyes.
It's a heartbreaking reminder that even when you escape physical danger,
Right.
those psychological wounds, they can run really deep.
And Jack, witnessing this, realizes that true safety for Karma might mean leaving Tibet altogether.
Wow.
Even if it breaks his heart.
His decision to help her escape Nepal is driven by that realization, right?
It is.
I mean, he knows the Chinese government won't stop hunting them.
Yeah.
And staying in Tibet, it just puts everyone at risk.
Exactly.
So he teams up with Miss Palmo, a teacher who was imprisoned alongside Karma's parents.
Right, Miss Palmo.
And they plan this daring river crossing.
It's pretty incredible. These ordinary people,
Yeah.
a teacher, a guilt-ridden inventor, risking their lives to defy a powerful regime.
They are.
It's a reminder that heroism, it doesn't always come in those big grand gestures, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it's those quiet acts of defiance that make all the difference.
I agree.
So their journey across the river, it's fraught with danger.
Of course.
They rely on local knowledge, sheer determination, and a little bit of luck to evade the Chinese patrols.
Yeah.
It's a testament to their resourcefulness, their ability to adapt and overcome, seemingly impossible odds.
Absolutely. But what about the emotional toll?
I mean, it's heavy.
I can imagine.
Miss Palmo, forced to say goodbye to Karma, knowing that she might never see her again.
Oh, God.
It just tears at your heartstrings,
I can only imagine.
And for Jack, entrusting Karma to the care of strangers, hoping they'll get her to safety.
Right.
It mirrors the guilt he carries over his own daughter's death, doesn't it?
It does.
He's trying to break the cycle of loss.
Yeah.
To ensure that Karma has this future he couldn't give his own child.
What a powerful parallel.
So the tension builds as they approach the Nepal border.
I bet.
They're so close to freedom.
Yeah.
But Colonel Cheng and her troops are closing in.
Oh, no.
And then, in a twist of fate, Lydia Hansen arrives.
Oh, wow. Lydia Hansen. We're timing.
I know, right?
So what happens?
Well, Hansen's presence just adds another layer of complexity. She's not just a witness anymore.
Right.
She's broadcasting these events to the world.
Whoa.
Forcing governments to acknowledge what's happening.
The scene at the border, it's incredible, isn't it?
It is.
Like, it's a standoff.
Yeah,
Jack and Karma desperate to cross. Cheng determined to apprehend them, and Hansen capturing every moment on camera.
I know.
The weight of the entire story, all the sacrifices, all the pain, it all comes down to this one pivotal moment.
And then Cheng does something unexpected.
What? What did she do?
She could have captured them,
Right.
followed orders,
Right.
but instead, she makes a choice.
You let them go.
She does. She allows Jack and Karma to escape into Nepal.
Wow. I did not see that coming.
It's a stunning act of defiance.
Yeah, it is.
This complete rejection of the system she's always served.
I mean, that's huge.
Yeah,
it's a moment of pure human connection.
It is.
Like transcending ideology and political boundaries,
I agree.
Cheng risks everything to help them, knowing the consequences will be severe. It's a testament to the idea that even in the darkest of times, compassion can prevail.
But even with their escape, the story, it doesn't end neatly. Jack and Karma, they're safe for now,
Okay.
but they're still fugitives.
Right.
The world knows about Satan's breath.
Yeah.
And the fallout is just beginning.
Governments are scrambling, people are demanding answers, and the truth, well, it can't be contained any longer.
And back in the U.S.,
Right.
things are imploding.
Uh-oh.
The president's facing mounting pressure.
Yeah.
The NDRA is under scrutiny.
Right.
And Agent Franklin is working behind the scenes to expose the conspiracy.
She's like a one-woman truth squad.
She is. It's like a domino effect.
It is.
One act of defiance has set off this chain reaction.
Yeah.
It's going to change everything.
I love it.
The novel, It doesn't shy away from the complexities of the situation.
It doesn't.
Jack's testimony at the trial in Nepal exposes the truth about Satan's breath and the people who sought to weaponize it.
Yeah.
He's still a wanted man in his own country.
Wow, that's rough.
Accused of treason and murder.
And what about Karma?
Well, Karma, while physically safe,
Yeah.
she's now separated from her homeland.
Yeah.
Facing this uncertain future in a foreign land.
Yeah.
The cost of their escape, I mean, it's been immense, both personally and globally.
So how does it all end?
The ending, though hopeful, is also bittersweet.
Okay.
Jack, reunited with his brother-in-law Jordan,
Right.
makes this difficult decision to send Karma to live with him in the U.S. He believes it's the only way to guarantee her safety and a chance at a normal life.
That's a tough call, but probably the right one.
It is. It's a heartbreaking separation.
I can imagine.
But one born out of love and necessity.
Yeah.
And the final scene,
Okay.
with those hints of a possible reunion in the future, leaves you with this sense of cautious optimism.
It does.
The world has been forever changed by their story.
Right.
Those dangers of unchecked technology exposed.
Right.
But that fight for justice and a more compassionate world, it continues.
Final Tibetan Girl is a powerful story. It stays with you long after you finish reading it.
It does.
It makes you think about the choices we make when we're faced with impossible situations, the courage it takes to stand up for what's right, and the enduring power of human connection, in the face of adversity. What are your takeaways from this deep dive?
Oh, man, so many.
I know, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot to process.
It is.
I think what sticks with me the most is the idea that one person can make a difference. Jack, Karma, Major Chang, even Lydia Hansen, they all made choices that had a ripple effect.
They did.
It's a powerful reminder that we all have agency, that our actions matter, even when we feel powerless.
I agree. This has been an incredible journey.
It has.
What a deep dive.
Yeah, what a book. I highly recommend it to anyone listening.
Yeah, you should definitely check it out if you haven't already. Thanks for joining us.
It's been a pleasure.
We'll see you on the next deep dive.